All right, now we're going to look at finding the area, perimeter, and circumference. You have already done this in previous years, so this should be a pretty easy lesson for you. Make sure you're taking good notes. When you're finished, you don't really need a teacher talk unless you just feel like you need one. Okay, when we talk about perimeter, that is just the distance around a shape, and in this case, the shape is a polygon. For a triangle, how you're going to find the perimeter is that you're going to add up all the side lengths. There is no formula for this, but in this particular triangle, I'm going to add the length of A plus the length of B plus the length of C to give me my perimeter, and the capital letter P means perimeter. If you have a square, to find the perimeter, it is 4 times the side length. So the formula is capital P equals 4 times S, where S means the side length. If I have a rectangle, to find the perimeter, I take 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. The formula for that is capital P, meaning perimeter, equals 2 times L, which represents length, plus 2 times W, which represents width. Now, when you're talking about a circle, we don't call the distance around perimeter. We call it the circumference. And the formula to find the circumference of a circle is capital C, which stands for circumference, equals 2 pi r, where r is the radius, and the radius is the length from the middle of the circle to the edge of the circle, and is represented by the small letter r. And I need you to remember that circles are not polygons. Now let's talk about area. To find the area of a triangle, we have an actual formula, and it states that A, which represents area, equals 1/2 the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. Notice that the base is a side, and the height may or may not be a side. It is the perpendicular distance. Well, I will give you the height. We'll get into what that means later, but right now you need to know the formula. Area equals 1/2 base times height. If I'm finding the area of a square, I just take one side length times another side length, because all the side lengths are the same. Well, an easy way to say that is A equals S cubed, or sorry, S squared, because S squared means S times S. To find the area of a rectangle, you take the length times the width. So the formula for finding the area of a rectangle is A equals LW, which stands for length times width. Now, if we go to a circle, the formula to find the area of a circle is pi r squared. So the number pi times the radius squared. Let's use some of these. I would like you to find the area of the shaded region. Well, notice that I actually have a rectangle here and a square. And if I find the area of the rectangle and the area of the square, and then I subtract out the area of the square from the area of the rectangle, I'll have my shaded region. So I'm going to do just that. First, I'm going to find the area of a rectangle. And remember that area of a rectangle equals length times width. My length in this case, let's call 9, and my width, let's call 14. So I'm going to have that my area equals 9 times 14 for my large rectangle. Now notice when I take two lengths times each other, I get units squared. So I get that the area of that rectangle is 126 meters square. Now, let's find the area of the square. And we know that equals S squared. So area equals 5 squared, which is 25. So now I have my two areas, 25 meters squared, sorry. Now that I have my two areas, I can subtract them, and I can get that the area of the shaded region, so my area of my shaded region is 101 meters squared. All right, let's try another one, but this one is a circle. So I want you to find the area of the shaded region in terms of pi, and I want to show you how this works. Now remember that the area of a circle is pi r squared. So I'm going to find the area of the large circle whose radius is 10 centimeters. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so I'm going to say area equals pi times 10 squared. So when I keep this in terms of pi, I'm not going to use my pi button. I'm not going to use 3.14. I'm going to simplify this to 100 pi. So I'm almost using pi like a variable. So the area of the large circle is 100 pi. Now, let's find the area of the small circle. Well, I know that if the circumference of the big circle was 10 and my shaded region is 5, 10 minus 5 gives me the radius of my small circle, which would be 5. So I'm going to say that the area of my small circle equals pi times 5 squared. 5 squared is 25, so the area of my small circle is 25 pi. Now, again, I'm going to subtract the small circle from the large circle so I can get my shaded region. So I'm going to say 100 pi minus 25 pi gives me 75 pi. So the area, units squared, I guess it's centimeter, isn't it? Centimeters. Well, if I can get my pen here, it would help. Centimeters squared. All right, let's try something else. The area of a rectangle is 180 inches squared. If the width of the rectangle is 12 inches, what is the length? Well, I know that area of a rectangle is length times width. I know that my area is 180, so I'm going to replace my A with 180. I'm going to replace my width with 12, and can I just replace my L with X instead of using L? So now I have 180 equals 12x, and this is an equation I know how to solve. And when I do, I get the length of my rectangle is 15, what do we have here? Centimeters? Inches. Okay. Finally, I would like you to plot these points and find the approximate perimeter of the triangle. So, and I've given us a little hint here, say, think distance formula. So we're going to go back to one of our earlier concepts. So let's plot these points. I'm going to go over 1 and up 6. 6. I'm going to make a nice big fat point there. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and up 6. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, up 2. Now that I've plotted these points, I can just count the length of JK. It is, get this here. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So I know JK, the length of JK equals 5 units. But the length of JL isn't easy, so I'm going to have to use the distance formula to find this. Okay, remember that the distance formula is the difference in the x value squared plus the difference in the y value squared and the square root of the whole thing. It's based on the Pythagorean theorem. So when I put this all together, I get the square root of 20, which is about 4.47. Okay, and now I'm going to do the exact same thing. Okay, so the length of JL is, let's say, 4.47. And let's find the length of KL using that same formula. So I'm going to take the difference in my x values, which is 3, square, and then I'm going to square it, and the difference of my y values, which is 4, and I'm going to square it and take the square root of the whole thing, which I get the square root of 25, which is the whole number 5, so therefore the length of KL is 5. Now if I add 5 and 4.47 together, I would get the approximate perimeter of this triangle. And then when I add those together, I get 14.57 units squared. Now I want to, oh no, this is can't be units squared because it is not area. Don't make that error. It's just units. And that's one of the things I didn't really stress in the video was when you're doing area, make sure that your answer is in units squared. When you do perimeter, your units are not squared. It's just length. Okay, I think you have the things that you need to start your homework.